Hey, it's Jessica Goose here with RealAgriculture.com. I am at Farm Tech 2020, and joining me right now to talk all about mental health is Jessica Tarowski, who is the Rural Mental Health Project Manager for the Canadian Mental Health Association Alberta Division. Jessica, how are you doing today?
Great. How about you?
I am doing quite well. Kind of a fun fact for our listeners right now. Jessica and I have known each other. I feel like I'm talking in the first person here. But we've known each other for quite some time because I used to be on the Alberta Students Executive Council, and that's when you were a project manager for a mental health initiative.
Yes.
And look at this. We've come full circle. Now you're in the ag sector, and I love it. Now I'm in the ag sector. I love it. Tell me a little bit about kind of what your position with CMHA Alberta Division entails.
Sure. So I'm leading the Rural Mental Health Project that's been underway for quite some time now. And really what the project is working, our hope is to work with up to 150 rural and remote communities across Alberta over the next over 3.5 years.
Wow.
And ultimately there's two sort of major pieces to the project. The first is really around Animator training and funding.
Okay.
So what we do is we look for a connection with a local community-based organization to help us find a local community member who we call an animator.
Okay.
And really what that person is doing is we provide funding to that person and training for them to be able to bring folks together in their community to have a conversation around what does mentally healthy community mean to us? What are the things that we're already doing really well? How do we build on those and strengthen those things in a way that kind of follows our values and priorities?
Like what are the challenges? What are the opportunities, right?
Yeah, really coming from a strength-based perspective and really about giving ownership back to communities. So it's not CMHA coming in, giving a list of things that...
This is what you need to do.
Yeah, this is what, mental health means in each community, because as we all know, rural means different things to different communities and different communities have different priorities as well.
For sure. So you mentioned a word there, animator. What does that mean? What does that, how does somebody sign up to be one? What does that entail?
So an animator, I think about it as the way, the word animate is to bring life to something. And so we really see it as somebody who helps to catalyze and facilitate the conversation. And what that really boils down to is about, going for coffee with people, having a conversation, building connections and relationships with more and more people in the community. So not just the usual suspects like the health providers, but also getting the voices from education, the voices from people in farmers, from local governments, from workplaces, because we all sort of have a piece of the pie of that conversation. And really being able to help work together to find common strengths in the things that are priorities for us to do right now, and to start maybe thinking over the horizon in the future.
And so you guys right now, you said, so the pilot project was last year, and we'll talk about that in just a moment here. But you guys are actually looking for animators right now for the 2020 year.
Yes, yeah. So we have worked with, I think, about 39 communities so far. And over the next couple of years, we are looking to work with up to another, 110. And so we provide funding to animators to compensate their time while they're actually doing training, so they're getting paid. Their travel to and from training, and 40 hours of facilitation time over 1 year to be able to spend time in the community having those conversations.
Awesome. So it's not just coffee and a donut.
No, well, it could be. In some places, that might be the best way to start a conversation.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
awesome, though, that you kind of take that initiative, because, yes, you want people to talk, and I think people do want to talk, but sometimes they're like, oh, I got a lot on my plate. How am I going to be able to afford to step back from my job in order to share the message? So I think that's awesome. Where does this funding come from?
So we have been working closely with Alberta Health, so Government of Alberta, and it really has been a whole learning sort of journey together around how to better support rural mental health. Yeah,
That's awesome, and it's definitely needed, as we see in stats, as we see in surveys being done. Rural mental health is definitely need to be a focus going forward even more.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the pilot project. So it ran ran for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
What were some good things? What were some things that you guys know, oh, we for sure need to change that?
Sure.
What was it like?
Oh, lots of learning. And I think that's the one thing I really love about doing the work that we're doing is that we're open to learning and changing. And so where we kind of started was, bringing in lots of different stakeholders from provincial groups, from local groups, having a conversation about what's going on, and learning a lot about what not to do, like parachute in experts telling people what to do, and trying to copy strategies
Does
that
not work with farmers.
no, we
do this.
Heard that loud and clear. So that's not at all part of the approach, as well as not trying to copy strategies that maybe worked in larger cities and trying to apply those in rural communities. A lot of people were kind of had enough of that. And so what we did learn a lot of really positive things around being able to start from communities being able to lead the way because they already know what's going on in their community, what's working, what's not. We learned a lot of nuances as well. Like, for example, we had only one funding option before, and now we have a second funding option because we learned that not everybody wants that type of funding. And so now they can access it in a different way. Another really positive thing that came out of it is that we learned that having just one person in a community that has training is a real struggle for that one person. And so now we've offered it so that each animator can bring a +1 with them for free, who can attend the training. We don't have additional funding for them, obviously, because that wasn't part of the plan. But that they can access the training and be and get the free lunch to be able to come with the animator, so that they have a partner in the community who's also gone through that.
Can help share that workload. What is the workload like for an animator? Is it kind of up to them for how much that they kind of put into it, or is there a set amount of hours that they need to?
Well, we have funding for 40 hours, but in terms of what each animator is doing is we're using more of a principle-based approach. So like I said, we don't want to have a checklist of things that people have to do, but that they can look at those principles to help guide around how do I apply these things in my community in the way that makes sense where my community is starting from. And so some communities already, and this is another thing I guess we learned, is that some communities haven't really started a conversation yet, and so it's really about just sparking it and getting things going.
Get the interest.
Getting, maybe it's at a local A&W having coffee and just starting casual. And other communities have already started some activities, so it's about building and strengthening those things and connecting them with one another. And some rural communities already have a lot going on, frameworks and a lot of committees coming together. So it's about kind of continuing to expand and strengthen those through both the training, and we also have the Rural Mental Health Network that we've been developing. And so what that meant for us, what we learned while we were developing training with the pilot and the 24 rural communities we worked with through that, was that rural community means different things to different people, and that we can also bring a lot of things into training that are helpful. But that a lot of everyone in the room already knows a lot and is already doing a lot. And so we leave a lot of space and time in training for animators to be able to learn from one another.
Nice.
And so that really supports that network of animators in rural communities working together, not just now, but into the future as well.
Speaking of future, new year here, what is going to be different for 2020?
So for 2020, we have at least 7 different trainings available that people can join up on. If you go to our website, ruralmentalhealth.ca, there's an online form. It's called an expression of interest form. It has just basic information, name, the community, roughly about when you want to get involved, as well as starting to choose what funding option you might want. And then we follow up with you to let you know. And you can pick the training date based on the time or the location, so that it might be closer to you.
Nice.
In the next
Super user-friendly.
Yeah. The next one is in Airdrie, and then Vermilion, and then Old. So we're trying to go
spread out for sure. Awesome. Okay, so more of that training is going to be coming, which is great, because like you said, you wanted to go from your 24 communities to hopefully 110.
150.
150. Wow. Okay. You're shooting for the stars. I love it. I love it. This is good because it's needed for sure. Lastly here, I guess, is what going forward, what is like the end goal? What's the milestone? Is it to have that mental health awareness in the rural communities?
Well, I think to put it simply, that even in our own lives, mental health is our own journey as we go through, what being well and healthy means when you're 18 versus when you're 65 means different things. And so I think the end goal is that there really isn't an end point, but that this is an ongoing conversation, and that this is just one of the many projects that exist to kind of help move this conversation forward. because it's a conversation that a lot of people are starting to have, as well as a lot of people are really wanting to have. And so, the further along that each community can get, wherever they're at, moving to the next, place that is healthier is really the goal there, without CMHA coming in and telling you what the yardstick of what success looks like. But communities learning that from their own definitions.
For sure. Well, I'm excited to hear more about this for the future. Again, their website is ruralmentalhealth.ca, and we will be sure to have the link up on our website, realagriculture.com. Jessica, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.